So I've managed to basically delete everything off my computer. So my little thing that was spinning around to make it look all purdy that I made from something else, that's gone. All the photos are gone. The title screen's gone. It's around somewhere. It's on one of the hard drives, but I'm not 100% sure where. I haven't been making any content, which is really obvious by the fact that I haven't made any content. We are, when I say we, I mean me. I've just been incredibly busy, and I wouldn't say suicidal, but I am a bit down and finding things a bit pointless. And I mean, I understand everybody else out there has things going on. I understand other people are in a far worse state than me, but a lot of the time what goes on in your noggin has no real relevance to what's going on in the physical world. And that's what my problem is at the moment. I'm incredibly dissatisfied with where my work life is. But instead of knuckling down and doing this, which in theory brings me joy, or at least gives me a sense of satisfaction of doing something, I haven't been. So on my other device, I made a video explaining how I've been really, really busy. But then when it came to the ending, I couldn't quite nail the landing. So I basically just abandoned it. So it's probably not an ideal thing to do. And at the moment, I don't really have time. It's you need some time to decompress. So the news the last couple of days has been going, drinking a couple beers a day is really, really good for you. But is it the beer that's actually good for you? Are we talking a problem of causation versus correlation, which is what the media tends to do and a lot of science tends to do, because that's where money comes from. So someone will be given, it's like they spent millions of dollars on a thing saying, red cordial causes hyperactivity, and everybody who's ever been alive for the last 30 years or 40 or 50 years has known that red cordial causes hyperactivity. Why did the government need to give anybody money to prove whether that was true or not? So the drinking beers thing, is it the fact that these people come home and they follow a ritual which allows them to decompress from work, to remove all the stress from work and just have a home life, and therefore take pressure off their bodies, off their hearts, off their minds? Is the ritual the thing that's keeping them alive longer? Or is it the actual beer? I doubt anyone's going to do that study, but there is a lot of research out there as to having something to decompress, to relieve the stress from your life. Some people ride their mountain bikes over mountains, which to me isn't stress relieving. Some people drink, some people watch TV, some people play video games. I used to stay up all night playing video games, go to work the next day, and I still felt fine. Okay, I was a lot younger than I am now. I doubt I could do it now, but the video games removed me from the stress of my actual existence. And I actually think it was more beneficial for me to do that than to lie awake in bed stressing about everything that was going on. So is anyone going to do get a grant from the government to say, playing video games makes people live longer and causes them to have less heart attacks? I doubt that's going to happen too. So when people say things like believe the science, the fact that they've quantified it with a the, and then say things like the science is settled, that's also not how science works. What we believe to be correct at the moment, what we believe to be a fact at the moment, is based on years of research. People have to get it peer reviewed, and they have to do experiments over and over and over again to come up with a conclusion. And if it turns out that the experiment is faulty, or somebody else can disprove what you're doing by continuing to study whatever you're studying, then the science will change. Science can never be settled. We understand very little about how the universe operates. We understand very little about a lot, to be honest. And I'm not a scientist, but I loved chemistry in early high school, and then we got to late high school, and they basically said, no, everything we taught you was just an oversimplified version that's not actually accurate. So I went, screw this, and went and did art instead. But absolutely loved physics. And I still do. I mean, I try and build things, I try and construct things, I try and form the natural world into something that fits my needs more easily. I also like resurrecting old dead things. I mean, not like a necromancer. I'm not surrounded by zombies or anything. But this camera's old, this table's secondhand, this other thing here's old. One of my keyboards I basically found on the tip, and I hosed it off and left it out in the sun for a week, and it worked fine. But I liked that one because it had little controls for audio and video and stuff on it, so it worked really, really well. This thing here is just broken, but it still works, so I'm keeping that one going. Everything in this room basically secondhand. Okay, only the art on the other wall that you can't see, and I don't have another camera going. Only the art on the other wall is basically new. The chairs are secondhand. The tablecloth I stole from my missus, which is a red color, just to get away from the monochrome, because black, grey. Actually, the carpet going on the floor is red, but you won't be able to see that. It's just so people don't have to stand on this crappy lino that's down here. So many people watch something on the corporate media who say it's a fact, and when it turns out to not be a fact, nobody ever contradicts it. And that's not science. I should probably remove that, because it's not really what I'm trying to be about on this channel. I'm trying to be about the human condition, but I suppose that is the human condition. Unfortunately, we tend to be a little more sheepily than we should. And I do it as well. I'll read something or see something or hear something, and I won't fact check it. But you have to fact check things yourself using alternative sources, because the fact checkers can fact check things like for Facebook and everyone else, and they're applying their specific political agenda to whatever they're fact checking. That's why I try not to watch the news at all, because I tend to find that a truth out of context is not necessarily a fact. So I think the world's missing a lot of context. Like we say, democracy is great, but at the end of the day, democracy is two wolves and a lamb voting on what's for dinner. So again, we really need to be very careful about who we vote for, why we vote for them, and sometimes the immediate, quick solution to a problem is not the long-term solution to a problem. For example, getting your privileges back from the lockdowns, because they're not freedoms, because if they were freedoms, you would inherently have them. And the fact that any of this stuff can be removed instantly for any reason, and people just go, yeah, all right. So anyway, I don't really have much else to say, and I'm probably going to delete this or not. I might just forward it because, stuff and things. And that's all I've got to say about that. Be excellent to each other. See, even the ending credits are missing.